Is there any better way to start off our Advent service of worship for this second Sunday of Advent than with a beautiful, beautiful piece of music while shepherds watch their flocks by night, which is coming up, of course. How wonderful to see you here today. Welcome to this celebration of the second Sunday of Advent as we gather together. And Tori has put up our brand new Christmas tree. Did you know that was a new tree? It actually went up a lot faster than the previous tree. That's why we got it. And we thank Miss Janet for alerting us to the fact that there are trees that we could actually afford out there. So thank you for that. This is a blessed time to be together. You'll notice that our Christ candle has taken the center spot in our Advent wreath, and we will reborn and relight that light as Christ is born on Christmas Eve. So today, a little centrality for our dove of peace, as she is lit there in the middle, proclaiming peace, which we are all about today as we consider the peaceable kingdom and God's bringing peace to the world. So just as the Van Horsen sat down, let's rise and sing together as we sing, O come, Emmanuel.
O come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel, that mourns in lonely exile here, until the child of God appear. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to you, O Israel. O come, O wisdom from on high, and order all things far and nigh. To us the path of knowledge show, and help us in that way to go. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to you, O Israel. O come, O shoot of Jesse, free your own from Satan's tyranny. From depths of hell your people save, and give them victory o'er the grave. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to you, O Israel. O come, O Key of David, come, and open wide your heavenly home. Make safe the path through endless day. To hell's destruction close the way. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to you, O Israel.
Well, welcome to San Marino Congregational United Church of Christ, where whoever you are and wherever you find yourself on this Advent journey, you are welcome here. Indeed you are. Will you please pray with me? God, who comes as a child, we gather to see you and know you today. In this Advent season, as we gather once again to prepare for the miracle of your coming, help us enter your paradox together. Help us see the ultimate strength in the ultimate vulnerability. Help us see how least is most, how the teeth-gnashing predatory world we so often experience is never your last word. Open us to your logic-defying love this day as we grow nearer to celebrating the Christ child bursting forth into the world. In the paradox of life, we pray. Amen. Let us sing together the beautiful Christmas carol, Lo, How a Rose Ere Bloom.
Lo,
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the worship for the second Sunday of Advent. Please join me now in our opening invocation. God of hope and encouragement, we come in the midst of the season of busyness and preparations
to find the time and space to slow down, to reflect on what our true preparations could be.
Prepare our hearts to receive the gifts of love and hope.
Prepare our minds to focus on your promise that peace is possible.
Prepare our spirits to praise you for prophecy, promises, and preparation.
Prepare our souls to find hope and encouragement, joy and peace.
Prepare us that we may praise you for all that has been given and all that is to come. Amen. You may be seated.
Today, we light two candles. The candle of hope and the candle of peace. This second candle reminds us that in sending the Christ, God sent us peace that passes all understanding. Peace of heart and mind, because through God's grace, we were given a Savior. Because of Christ, we can live our lives with a sense of calm assurance, and we can be instruments that spread that peace out into the world.
Voices cry out from a world in grief, prayers of those who seek relief, and their darkness
We need the light of peace more than ever, don't we? Today we are looking at the peaceable kingdom. And Kim and I had a lot of fun finding pictures for this. Do a Google search and you'll be surprised at what you find. But we are going to look first at our pennies. Look at that. Pastor remembered, it's a Christmas miracle. Come forward with your pennies if you would like to place them in the jar. Oh yes, here they come. Wow, you're really collecting this week. Good job. Hello, Miss Sue. Good to see you. Welcome, little Marcia. Oh boy, we love when the Maldonados come. Look at this. Wow. You're going to have to dump those in there, little Vic. Yes. Oh, nice. Listen to that. Oh boy. Christmas has come. Look at that. All right. Yeah, let's have an applause for that. I wondered why you were on your hands and knees in all those parking lots. Getting those pennies out of there. Wonderful. Look at that. We might be able to give Ronald McDonald House a big Christmas gift. Thank you for that. We sure appreciate it. Well, today as we're looking at that peaceable kingdom and how many things come together in peace, I thought a perfect little story to read to you would be The Winter Train. I read this a few years ago, and as I read it again, I was like, boy, is that perfect for today. Let's see what you think. Dawn was breaking in the northern forest as the leaves fell from the trees. The animals woke up and began to pack their bags.
Help! I can't find my toothbrush,
said Wildcat worriedly.
Well, I need another suitcase. Can anyone lend me one?
Said Deer, who was quite vain.
Don't forget to turn off the light, Rabbit. Last year it was on for more than 6 months,
said Badger. Once their bags were packed, it was time to say goodbye.
Oh, don't worry about me,
said White Owl.
Someone's got to stay behind and look after the forest. Anyway, I love the cold.
Winter goes by really fast. We'll be fine,
said Frog to the fish, who were swimming sadly in the river.
I'll miss you, Den,
said Fox, waving goodbye to his home. At midday, they all met at the foot of the oldest tree. That was where the train stopped.
Every time we leave the northern forest, I feel homesick, sighed Partridge.
And when we leave the southern forest, we feel exactly the same, said Hedgehog.
Hang on! Wait!
Don't leave me here, yelled Tortoise, who was always the last to arrive, as usual. Then suddenly, choo-choo, choo-choo, the winter train was arriving. As it did every year at this time, it would take the animals from the northern forest to the southern forest, where they could spend the cold months in a warmer climate. Once they were aboard the train, the animals found their seats.
I prefer to be by the window, otherwise I kind of get all queasy,
said Groundhog.
I can trust you, can't I?
Said Goat as he sat down next to Wolf.
I'll be more comfortable in the coat closet,
said Bat, who preferred dark places. And so the winter train chugged toward the south. Although the journey would take a few hours, the animals were all in high spirits, chatting, singing, and playing cards. Suddenly, Jeanette jumped out of her seat. Oh no, she cried. We've forgotten Scrab. We have to go back and get her.
But if we go back, we could get trapped in the snow,
said Beaver, pointing to the dark clouds outside the window.
Oh, well, you can't leave Squirrel behind.
She can't stand the cold, said Ferret.
Well, that's settled then. Let's go and find her,
said all of the animals together in unison, which is very difficult to do. The conductor brought the train to a halt and turned back. It got colder and colder, and the snowflakes began to fall. When they got back to the northern forest, the landscape was covered in a blanket of white. Jeanette jumped off the train and bounced through the snow toward Squirrel's house. Squirrel's tree stood in a lonely spot. Jeanette climbed up the trunk until she reached Squirrel's den. In one corner, her friend was huddled up in a ball,
She was shivering so much that Jeanette could hear her teeth rattling together.
Squirrel, come on! The train is waiting for us!
Said Jeanette, waking her with a start.
You came back. You came back to rescue me.
Said Squirrel, shivering from the cold.
Well, last night, I was counting stars until very late, and when I woke up, the train had already left.
Jeanette and Squirrel ran back to the train. On seeing that Squirrel was safe, all of the animals jumped up and down with joy and smothered her with hugs and kisses. The conductor started up the engine once again, but it had snowed so much that the train tracks were completely covered. They were trapped. The sun was setting behind the mountains. It was getting colder and colder, and the animals all began to lose hope. After thinking for a while, Bear had a good idea.
Let's try to clear the snow off the tracks. We can do it if we work together.
And so the animals jumped down from the train and began to clear away the snow. Bear shoveled great clumps with his huge claws, while the smallest animals cleaned off the rest with their paws and wings. Soon, there was no snow left on the rails. The heat of the motors had melted the snow closest to the train, and some of the animals also helped by pushing the train from the back. Then suddenly, choo, 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 the train started to move. The animals quickly jumped back into the train and returned to their seats. They'd done it. Night fell over the northern forest as the snow covered the trees. Squirrel was still curled up, trying to get warm under Eagle's huge wings. The animals smiled, satisfied. Some of them were holding paws, while others were fast asleep, snoring quietly. Meanwhile, the winter train chugged through the dark, dark night, through the freezing air, toward the promise of the southern forest. Look what you can do together. There's only one thing that's not true. Nobody snores quietly.
Let us bless each other, all of God's children and animals, with the words our Christ taught us to pray. O God, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. We are very fortunate during this time of great illness that has swept through our land. As Matt is sick today, that the wonderful Lester is filling in for us today. Thank you, Lester.
Today's text, once again from the prophet Isaiah, invites us to make changes in our lives, to better build up our community, and to draw closer to God. As you listen, consider what changes you might want to make in your own life this Advent season, that you may be closer to God. Hear now these words from the book of Isaiah, chapter 11, verses 1 through 10, as interpreted in the Inclusive Bible. Then a shoot will sprout from the stump of Jesse. From Jesse's roots a branch will blossom. The Spirit of Yahweh will rest on you, a spirit of wisdom and understanding, a spirit of counsel and strength, a spirit of knowledge and reverence for Yahweh. You will delight in obeying Yahweh, and you won't judge by appearances or make decisions by hearsay. You will treat poor people with fairness and will uphold the rights of the land's downtrodden. With a single word you will strike down tyrants. With your decrees you will execute evil people. Justice will be the belt around this your waist. Faithfulness will gird you up. Then the wolf will lie down with the lamb, and the leopard will lie down with the young goat. The calf and the lion cub will graze together, and a little child will lead them. The cow will feed with the bear. Their young will lie down together. The lion will eat hay like an ox. The baby will play next to the den of the cobra, and the toddler will dance over the viper's nest. There will be no harm, no destruction anywhere in my holy mountain. For as the water fills the sea, so the land will be filled with the knowledge of Yahweh. On that day, the root of Jesse will serve as a symbol to the peoples of the world. Nations will flock to you, and your home will be a place of honor. May our God open to us an unfolding vision of peace. May we be shaped by shalom and by the power of God's Spirit. May we be made bold to hope and dream, living as God's trusting children. Amen.
Amen.
We wait the peaceful kingdom where love and lamb shall lie, in gentleness and friendship, without our fear or sigh. When lion shall be grazing, when snake shall never strike, a little child shall lead us, both strong and weak alike. Where is the peaceful kingdom? When will this new day start? We long for peace and comfort to reign within each heart. Yet not in our lives only, nor simply in our home. We pray that all creation will one day find shalom. When wars of desolation and hate come to an end, when nation meets with nation and calls the other friend, still peace in all its fullness will only have begun. Shalom for all creation begins with justice done. As little child shall lead us to walk the chosen way, to share the peaceful kingdom, we trust in
Sitting up and hunched forward like a precision jeweler,
The muskrat guides the tender stem end of a cattail into his mouth. Long clawed front paws, holding, peeling, chewing, all at the same time, fast and ravenous. When he gets to the tough part, he tosses it aside, takes another from his pile, and bites. I admired him a long time on a brilliant early morning last summer at the edge of the pond. Admired his voracious yet meticulous eating with a purpose. Now that purpose, I first supposed, was to pack away as many calories as possible and live off of his fat reserves when the cattails age into brown husks and when ice seals up the pond and when the dimly lit days invite a long nap. Wisconsin people know what I'm talking about. But muskrat is no winter napper. He's apt to be swimming under the ice cap this very minute, his tail flattened vertically like a belt on edge, propelling him just as swiftly and deftly as in summer, thanks to an ingenious recalibration of body chemistry that enables his blood to carry and his muscles to store more oxygen in winter. Flesh and blood rich in oxygen, wrapped in a luxuriant double-layered fur coat that traps an insulating air pocket next to his skin and repels water from without. He is an avid, frigid water swimmer, as he needs to be. Unlike his cousin, the northern beaver, he has stored no food for winter. But his busy metabolism every day drives him to eat the equivalent of a third of his body weight in fresh vegetation. So today and every winter day, he has no choice but to dive beneath the ice for the plants that still grow on the bottomlands. Able-bodied as he is for this, the icy water rapidly saps Muskrat's heat and strength. He has to surface in the middle of the pond to warm up. So from beneath the ice, he's built a refuge. A push-up, it's called. By pushing sticks and stalks up through cracks in the ice into a heap, a mound. Then he pushes his body up into the mounded shelter, shakes his fur dry, and shivers to raise his body temperature. He allows others to join him, even non-kin, for the precious extra heat of a group huddle. If he feels too weak to dive, he may eat some of his shelter from the inside, though always with an eye on the wall's thickness. He can't risk opening it to the winter wind. It's a little bit of breathing room, this pile of sticks on the pond ice. A dark little room, like his dark little den dug into the pond bank. Retreating to his dark rooms to rest and breathe, often with others. This is how he survives the months of cold that can stop his plucky, industrious heart. Warmed and invigorated there, with a flick of his tail, he dives sleek and quick to the very bottom where fresh food always grows. Now, I would imagine that there are some of you, upon seeing that title for our explorations today, may have been a bit apprehensive that I would begin by singing that titular song by the Captain and Tennille from 1976 that speaks of two muskrats nibbling on bacon and chewing on cheese as they enjoy a romantic evening together. But not to fear, it is probably at the pinnacle of my pantheon of most pathetic and despised popular songs. And my apologies to those of you who enjoy it. Please allow it to reside unscathed in your memories. No, the muskrat love I want to look at today has to do with the story you just heard about a real muskrat, that frigid, avid, frigid water swimmer, who has no choice but to feed his voracious appetite throughout the winter, working hard and finding ways to survive that harsh cold and thick ice, under which he must swim and work to survive, even as the ice water rapidly saps his heat and strength. It's about what he does to replenish himself that most intrigues me and relates most heartily to our text from Isaiah for today. For there in the text, we hear prophesied a shoot that will sprout from the stump of Jesse, a branch that will blossom, and we're led to imagine a peaceable kingdom where those who would usually be fighting each other for survival lie down together, and that which destroys life enhances it, bringing peace to all creation and making it a place of honor, much like our winter train. It all has to do with that refuge. The refuge the muskrat creates by pushing up sticks and stalks through the ice and making that mounded shelter where he can get dry and raise his body temperature. And there, in this space he's created for himself, he allows other creatures, non-kin, kin-dumb, as our story identifies them, to join him for the precious extra heap of a group huddle. You might want to do that in here sometimes when you come in, first of all. Here is the foretaste of glory divine. Here is the peaceable kingdom already at hand. Here is the way nature is surely evolving faster than we are, as the creatures discover that together they can create more warmth and safety and peace for each other than in their warring survival of the fittest kind of state. What would happen, I wonder, if a little muskrat love found its way, I don't know, to Capitol Hill and wound its way through the corridors of the White House? What would happen if a little muskrat love created a push-up for the citizens of Russia and the Ukraine to huddle together in for warmth? What would happen if a little muskrat love found its way into our hearts this Advent season and led us to always consider ways we could create shelter for one another and for those who need to figuratively and literally come in out of the cold? Last week, as we looked at another earlier chapter in Isaiah and considered how we wait and hope for peace, we hunkered down with the painted turtle and considered the ways we might focus our energies and plan for peace and how we might, just might, hope to bring it about. This week, with our muskrat, we take action for peace. We begin by creating a space for peace, pushing ourselves up from the oxygenless bottom where we were focused on the silver bead of utter quietude as the painted turtle had to be, to where we can make a peaceful place, where we can breathe and warm ourselves in the company of others. Many others who may or may not look or act or even communicate like we do, but who need the warmth we create and the peace we can make happen together. As our Seasons of the Spirit tells us, our text for today comes from a section of the book of Isaiah which would have been written most likely, although nobody really knows, during a time of war and destruction in Assyria, where peace would not have been heard as an abstract concept. For them, the image of this shoot emerging from a remnant would have been a symbol of promise and hope. The next ruler after Ahaz, as we heard, was the king, will be faithful to the way of God and a descendant of David, since Jesse was the father of King David. There's the lineage. Now, just as our muskrat is willing to share his space with others and make a place where many may recuperate and come together in peace, so our text can be seen as a vision for interculturally and racially just communities. Boy, do we need that. Like the muskrat in our story, here in Isaiah is the lion intentionally giving up its power, making space for the more vulnerable and marginalized in shared community. As our season's authors put it so well, the path to the peaceable kingdom recognizes the profound truth that we are all of us predators and we are all of us prey. We carry the capacity for both. We all carry precarious powers and potential for peace, attending to our inner warfare. Those power-hungry lions within us that tear into our insecure little lambs is the hardest work of all. However, in this way, we join God in imagining our world's inner and outer, present and future in hopeful reconciliation. The vision pictures a different kind of community where power dynamics have shifted, where space is intentionally made for one another, where leaders come from unexpected places, and where there is beauty, peace, justice, and equity in what God has created. Listen. Listen to the stirring of the heavens. The stars are gathering. The light shifts, and there is a steady across the universe. Listen. Listen to the rhythm of Advent. A ready, pulsing heartbeat, steady and real. Beats, beats, beats across this season. Listen. Listen to the beat. God's Advent beat. Transforming swords into plowshares, missiles to communion plates, rifles to rocking chairs. Listen, come with me, and pick up the beat of God. For God is beating out the rhythm of something new. Amen.
This is our time to give and to hear about our common life. Today we launch the last of our 5 for 5 offerings for the Christmas Fund, which will be received at both our Christmas worship service on December 22nd and at our Christmas Eve service on December 24th. And I now invite David Christ to come forward to prepare us for the special offering. David.
Thank you, Lester. I have the pleasure of introducing our last of our 5 for 5 special offerings, the Christmas Fund, or if you've been around for a number of years, may have known it as the Veterans of the Cross Fund. They came when you needed them. They answered the phone when you called. They baptized and married and buried your loved ones in you. They gave up weekend after weekend after weekend to care for your spirit and lead you in worship and call you to justice and point to God in your midst. Some of it did it for way less money than they could easily live on. Some of them did it while living in parsonages instead of building home equity for retirement. For over 100 years, the Christmas Fund for the Veterans of the Cross and the Emergency Fund has been a way to ensure that a light of love and hope will always shine for faithful servants of our church who find themselves facing unforeseen financial need. Through the generosity of churches and individuals who contributed over $2.5 million in 2018 to the fund in 2018, the Christmas Fund has been able to provide pension supplementation, health premium supplementation, special grants for emergencies, and Christmas thank you gifts to over 1,000 individuals and families in need. My story in support of this fund comes with two situations. One, as many of you know, that my parents were residents of Pilgrim Place, a retirement community in Claremont, for ministers and lay people that were involved with the church. After their passing, I spent 6 years on the board, serving on the board, and there wasn't a meeting that we had that we didn't discuss the needs of those residents that were going to outlive their resources or were in need of emergency funds for a medical situation or a dental situation. It was real eye-opening to me how great that need was. And we actually did actuarial studies that tried to project what Pilgrim Place would need to have on hand to help those residents in the future. The second situation has been my health situation in the last year. I'm blessed to have insurance that has left me in a good place, but it has just been absolutely eye-opening and staggering to see what medical costs are billed at. A single shot in the cell collection process of my stem cell transplant billed at $61,000. And you realize so quickly that someone without insurance couldn't survive day one of some of these medical procedures. And so it is that we have the Christmas Fund. And what if one of the miracles this season was that we started caring for, really caring for, the lives and the comfort of our elderly? What if one of the miracles was that when people retired, they didn't start wondering what they were worth when they weren't working? What if everyone had someone to call when the going got really rough? And so it is that I hope you'll be in a position to support the Christmas Fund that will be collected officially on December 22nd. But any of the December services, you may turn that offering in with a designation on an envelope of a check of the Christmas Fund. And so we hope you'll be able to support that. Thank you.
Thank you, David. That was very compelling. And as some of us face retirement ages, we realize how expensive some things are that didn't used to cost that much. Because when we were kids, it was like, oh, that's nothing. So, and as you consider your offerings for this day, please hear these words of invitation. As we join our voices in prayer and praise, so too we bring together the symbols of our life investment. Money we have earned, the hours we have before us, the abilities that are ours alone. Let us give of ourselves with joy. Will the ushers please come forward?
cold midwinter kept it. Thank you, Albert, for that. And thanks to our lovely ushers for wearing complimentary Christmas colors. How appropriate was that? Yes, we noticed these things. Thank you so much, David. That was just a beautiful introduction to our Christmas fund, and certainly was a compelling for giving to that fund. Our poinsettia dedications are available. You'll notice something attached to your bulletin that you can fill out and dedicate. The deadline for requests is Tuesday, December 17th, and you can turn that in via the offering plate or in the church office. Let's see how many we can dedicate to Charlotte, shall we? Today is our social time next door. Please join us for treats and talk. And then Monday, we have a change of place. Lunch Bunch is going to meet at Dots, and the address is in your bulletin as well and about our folks. That's at noon at Dots in Pasadena. Saturday, there's our little white elephant. It's a fun fest. We're doing it a little differently this year. We're combining our tea and our white elephant. We're leaving out the film part of it because we never had time to do the film anyway. So we're gonna bring it back here to the church. We're gonna meet in the art room with the tea, bring something to share, some kind of finger food, a sweet or a little sandwich, and then we'll go into the really comfy youth room where we shall have gales of laughter as we see what you have pulled out. And it's very dangerous to do this because all of my white elephant gifts are here that I've collected from Connie over the years, and we will see them at there as you see them. Please do pick up your free devotional booklet, Our Daily Bread, for December, January, and February. I'm sorry I neglected to get those out last Sunday, but they started in December, so you've only missed a few days of that. And those are out there for you. Next Sunday is our worship at 10, of course, for our third Sunday of Advent. We hope you'll come. We have 2 anthems from our choir as they return from their Thanksgiving break for that. Our San Marino Police Project is back in full swing. They've asked for 60 bags to be created, which we're going to do in January. So between now and then, if you can donate anything from the list that's on the back of your bulletin or in the About Our Folks, you'll see the boxes for those back there. And Pat has how many Christmas angels?
I have 5. I have only 1 boy, 7, and 4 girls, 8, 10, 11, and 12.
All right, so if you can take an angel girl or an angel boy and buy some of the gifts, you don't have to buy everything that's on there. So you can do a little less. You're so generous. We appreciate that.
Grandchildren with him.
Oh, that's smart. Yeah, take a kid with you and you'll spend even more. But we need to bring those in anytime during the week. You can drop them off or bring them in next Sunday is the deadline for that. Are there any other announcements? If our Christmas angels will please come forward.
Please join me in a unison prayer of thanksgiving and dedication for these gifts. What a joy to give. What a delight to join our efforts to your purposes, amazing God. You inspire us to stand up for the oppressed and to work for harmony among all your children. Lead us together to your holy mountain, where we are all valued and no one is excluded. May our offerings spread the knowledge of your ways across this earth, widening the circle of inclusion to embrace all your children. Amen.
Blessed hope of every people.
which brings us to our prayer time as we lift up those who are looking for prayer, for help in their lives, as well as for the joys that we have experienced together. I had a conversation with our dear Kathy Arscott this morning. She has had 3 very difficult, challenging days with pain again in her mouth. She's afraid it might be a tooth. She's trying to make a decision. She was really in tears, and she is asking if there is anyone that could give her a call today, maybe even sit with her as she makes a decision what to do next. I'm going to try and do that. I've got quite a full schedule, but if somebody could help me out with that, I would certainly appreciate it. You can see me after the service, and we can talk about that. But please be in prayer for our dear Kathy Arscott as she's going through that time. We, of course, continue to keep the Coons family in our prayers as they mourn our beloved Charlotte. Grief does not just pass with one day. As we know, we're all feeling it as it's ongoing. I'm so thankful to have had my wonderful parents with me and my beautiful boyfriend to come along today. Thank you, Eric, for being here and for bringing them to church today. And we're just so blessed to have you. They fly out tomorrow, so please be in prayer for them as they make their trip. God said, okay, the Pashanks are flying home. No more rain. That's good. We'll be good tomorrow. So I'm real thankful and appreciate so much your presence here and as part of our church family. What a joy to see Cynthia back with us today. We've been praying so much for you, Cynthia, and for you, Victor, and we continue to hope that your health will improve and that you will continue to make your way there, Cynthia. We love you so much. And Sue is also feeling better. She had a really challenging time as well with sickness. And Matt, as I told you, was sick. He's supposed to start his job at Disneyland today, I understand, so he's really feeling the challenge of that. And Kathy Katowski called me this morning, and she's sick and wasn't able to be with us. So prayers for everyone as they go through this season. And I don't know what to tell you. Airborne, masks, whatever you can do, wash your hands a lot. What do you have on your minds and hearts today? Raise your hand and I'll be happy to come to you.
Well, the Small But Mighty Sextet also appreciates the fact that Susan is having a wonderful time being a Dickens caroler, I believe, up in Northern California, and Vivi is hugging trees in New York. But I also would like some prayers. My daughter is finding out, which I think she sort of already knew, about the politics and personalities of government work. So she could use a little extra prayer.
Blessings on Heather. Please tell her we're with her.
I have a cousin, Carol Ann, and she is recovering from hip surgery, replacement surgery, and she's in an awful lot of pain. But it scares me because she's my younger cousin.
Oh boy, yeah, I hear that. And we're so joyful for the wonderful time we had with the preschool and the open house. It went so well, and our elf toy really outdid itself. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the service, we have our tree up, and you'll see things just continue to flow in as the Advent season progresses. Is there anyone else? Yes.
Thank you. We all enjoy when our family lineage continues, and I remember when my brother and his wife gave birth to the only male Jacobowski heir, my father wept. And after 5 unsuccessful pregnancy tries, that one son and his wife are now far enough along, so I think my dad is crying in heaven.
Oh, nice. Beautiful. We'll pray them through that, definitely. Yes, Lester.
Excuse me. On Thursday, I met a woman whose husband had a bone marrow transplant at City of Hope on Tuesday of last week. He's 78 years old, and she is just absolutely terrified. Carlos can tell you what that's like to be there when somebody's just kind of, you're not sure if they're fading away or what they're doing. So, because the first 24 hours are the critical, and then you go to 2 weeks and so forth. But just prayers for Jackie and Don. He's the recipient. I think everything's going fine. There was no complications, but it's just that you need the comfort.
We will remember that time. Yes, yes. It's a very challenging time. Thank you for lifting them up for us, Lester. Yes, Eric. Let me give you the mic here so everyone can hear you.
My closest friend Joe's aunt and uncle passed away recently, and he was lucky enough to get enough money to buy a house in Illinois for $45,000. And he was tired of, he just couldn't quite keep coming up with the $1,500 rent. So he's moving this month, and he's in the middle of packing, and so very happy for him. But I'll miss him.
Yes, we will. And Eric's going to fly out there and help him move. How's that for friendship? Yeah, if you, yeah, I think we could get maybe a closet somewhere for $45,000. Well, let us be in prayer together. I'll give you a moment of silence to begin. Listening and loving God, we come to you today yearning for some of that muskrat love. We lay down before you all the ways we have been growling and gruesome to each other. We lay down before you all the ways we failed to stand up to predators and failed to help defenseless prey. While your cycle of life and creation is beautiful, we hear in your sacred word that you do not intend for us to bite and snarl at one another. You've heard our prayers for health and for help, for all the challenges and all the joys, and our heartfelt prayers for peace. Help us, Holy One. Help us see with your eyes. Help us see how each of us can be predator and how each of us can be prey. Help us not to see entire nations, entire peoples as predators. Help us see as you see that we are all part of one body. Here now, spoken aloud or in the silence of our hearts, the people and places which are in aching need of your healing and love. God, we do not want to hurt or destroy. Hear our prayers. Make us the willing hands for the words we lift up today. In the name of the little child who leads us, we pray. Amen. Well, let us rise and sing one great anthem for peace. This is to the traditional tune Jerusalem that you may recognize.
Shines through our hopes and prayers and dreams. Guide us to justice, truth, and love, delivered from our selfish schemes. May swords of hate fall from our hands, our hearts from end may find release, till by God's grace our warring world shall see Christ's promised reign of peace. Then shall the wolf dwell with the lamb, nor shall fears devour the small, as we send cattle comely graves, a little child shall lead them all. Then enemies shall learn to love, all creatures find their true accord. The hope of peace shall be fulfilled, for all the earth shall know the
As long as the sun burns in the sky, God is the warm love between us. As long as the tides of the ocean ebb and flow, God is the constant peace in our lives. As long as the mountains stand and the plains spread wide, we will live the love and peace of God in our world. You are the sprig of hope, the shoot of promise bursting forth in our day. Go to enliven the realm of God's peace. May peace be upon you and peace come to the world. Amen. Amen. Go in peace.